It's time to talk Minot State Beaver Athletics on Inside the Dam, brought to you by Papa John's. Alongside A.J. Conte Jr., I'm Owen Patterson. We'll be joined by plenty of other sports comm students throughout the show today, bringing you the latest on some regional sports, high school sports, and MSU as well. A.J., what else in specific do we have going on today?
We have MSU Athletics, high school and regional sports. Also, stay tuned for adults and special segment.
Mia Thompson is waiting by right now with a member of the Minot State women's soccer team, their head coach as well. The Beavers are playing pretty well, aren't they, Mia?
Yes, they are. Thank you, Owen. Thank you, AJ. So this weekend, the Beavers have qualified for playoffs, 2 back-to-back wins. Coach TJ Perez, how are you feeling this weekend?
It was a great weekend. Feel good. The team did very well, and came out with what we wanted to do this weekend. We knew what we had to do, and they accomplished those goals. So.
With the back-to-back wins this last weekend, how do you feel like that brought the confidence up with your team with Moorhead this Thursday?
Definitely brought it up. I think the simplification was the biggest thing. We got back to the 3 things we wanted to do: effort, attitude, and discipline. They showed that this weekend, and it shows in the score line, shows in the shutouts, and that's, you do those little things, and that's what you get to do, and do that one more time for the regular conference, and then we get to go into playoffs from there. So.
Is there any players specifically in the last couple of games that you feel like are bring good leadership to the team and have showed lots of extra effort in coming into this next game?
Our captains have been a big part of this. Sierra, Siri, Yossi all have jumped in and, kind of brought, the seriousness that needed to be this time of year. You want to be in playoffs. You want to be, structured and going in a good mindset, and they definitely brought that. The whole team as a group just wants to continue pushing and getting better every day. And a lot of players came in to figure out what they need to do to keep on that, and credit to the whole team just showing up what we needed to do this weekend.
So tell me, how are you and the team mentally and physically preparing for playoffs this upcoming week?
Not there yet. We're not thinking about that. Thursday is the first one, and after Thursday, then we can figure out what playoffs is. But right now, we're focusing one game at a time. That's what this season has been. Let's focus on the little things. And right now it's Thursday. Once we know what Thursday is, we'll start planning for everything after that. But Thursday is the first one. Get out, get after it, enjoy the last game of the regular conference, and then we'll plan playoffs from there.
Awesome. How is the team dynamic this year as going into the end of the season? How do you feel like it's been overall?
Overall, it's been fantastic. This group truly just loves each other, just comes together, just enjoys to be around each other at practice, off the field, little moments here and there between team meals, team meetings, film, all these little things. They do fantastic, and there's just this whole group atmosphere that everyone enjoys being around each other. They're comfortable with each other, and you can feel it wherever we go, and it's noticeable. And I think that makes a big difference, especially once you get to this time of year and the pressure does mount. Is when you are comfortable with each other, you're willing to do more. You're willing to push and go to it together. So
that's awesome. Thank you so much. Well, I'm just looking forward to your guys' game this Thursday. Make sure to please come out and watch MSU women's soccer play Moorhead this Thursday. This is, again, Coach TJ Perez and AJ Owen. I'll bring it back to you guys.
Might be a little chilly for that last home match, but if you can get out to First Western Bank Field at Herb Parker Stadium, see the soccer team in action. The fall sports seasons are coming to an end, but winter sports are already underway. Ariana is here to catch us up to speed on MSU Beaver Athletics.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you, AJ. Did you guys tune in to any of the sports this weekend?
I seen the football game. Great game.
I was at a couple hockey games as well.
Yeah, I tuned in for the women's. I didn't go in person, but I made sure to watch it on MSU Athletics. And speaking of women's soccer, the rainy weather conditions were not an obstacle this Sunday for MSU women's soccer as they claimed victory over the Wildcats of Wayne State College 2-0. Mia Lewis scored the first point for the Beavers, while Anna Mioto scored a PK for the second one, setting the tone for the rest of the game. On Friday, they also succeeded 2-0 against University of Sioux Falls. Coach TJ Perez said that their effort, attitude, and discipline was what they needed for the game. Women's soccer will host next Minnesota State Moorhead on November 7th at 3 p.m. Moving on to football, it was a tough loss for the Beavers after facing the Dragons of Minnesota State Moorhead Although they were close, the mark ended 42-38. The Beavers are striving to bring up their performance for their next game with Minot State University on November 16th. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. Also this weekend, the men and women's hockey team had 2 sets of games, with the men's winning their first 4-2 to the Grand Canyon University. Goalie Jake Anthony had 6 saves on 6 shots on goal made by the opposing team. They ended up the second day with a score of 4-1. The men's hockey will take Waldorf next on November 8th. Even though the women's team lost their first game to Lindenwood, on their first match they came out on top 3-1 for their second game. Abby Pinot scored their first goal on the second period of the game, and right behind her with the same energy, Chrissy Rink scored the second goal. So it was a good game for the men's and women's hockey team. What do you guys think about that? Are you guys watching hockey this season?
Oh, yeah. We at Minot State take a lot of pride in those hockey teams, don't we?
Yep, they did good.
All right. As always, today's show of Inside the Dam is brought to you by Papa John's. Check out what they have to offer for student discounts by calling them or visiting their Papa John's location right here in Minot, North Dakota. We'll be back shortly after a few ads. Here with Inside the Dam, we'll bring you some high school and regional sports updates.
Welcome back to Inside the Dam. Owen, what do we have next?
Well, Gage has some high school sports updates. Say, postseason sports here in North Dakota heating up. What do you got for us, Gage?
Well, you know, like you said, postseason's right around the corner, and some of the games have already started. So week 2 for volleyball just happened, and week 1 for football. So let's get right into it right here. Now, last Friday saw the second round of playoff volleyball in Class B high school sports. Bottineau High School took on Velva High School for the second round in what would be a lopsided affair. The Bottineau Stars would tame the Velva Aggies in 3 straight sets. The Aggies would try to run off with the third set win, but would lose 31-29, ending their season. The Stars would look to keep extending their season as they take on the West Hope Newburgh for round 3 today. Game time at Velva High School is at 4 p.m. And rushing over to the gridiron, the 7-2 Minot High Magicians took on the 2-7 West Fargo Packers for the first round of 3A state playoffs. The game saw a plethora of defense from the Magicians as Minot would send the Packers packing 23-0, improving their record to 8-2 this season. This week, Minot High will be going up against the 9-1 Fargo Davies Eagles for round 2, and this will be an interesting one as game time is slated for a midnight start at Dwayne Carl Stadium. The temperatures at game time will be 43 degrees, so be sure to dress warm as winter is right around the corner. And last up for high school sports, the Minot North Sentinels took on the Devils Lake Firebirds for their first round of the 2A state playoffs last Friday. Minot North would end up taking down the Firebirds 35-20 for their first ever state playoff game. They look to keep up the momentum heading into round 2 as they will be going up against the West Fargo Horace Hawks. And last time these two teams faced off, the Hawks would soar to victory, winning 33-7 in week 3 of the season. Kickoff on Friday is also set for midnight. Now, AJ, you've played college football, you've played in the playoffs. Now, what has that been like for you on the transition from high school to JUCO?
It's very different, once you get to college. You have to wake up early, workouts, lifts, team meetings. So, yeah, it's very harder. But I can say if you're mentally tough for it, you be prepared and ready.
Absolutely.
Today we have Mr. Do-It-All. He's a big part of this pro-com department, Cole Clementich. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, AJ.
Yes, sir. Since being your grad assistant, can you define your role, please?
Yes, so I'm working in the sports information department. My kind of official title is grad assistant communications. That entails all of the broadcasting, taking stats at all the games, writing the press releases. So when you go on the website, you see all the headlines, all the stories that are coming out for each sport. And there's a crew of us. We work on all that together, and it's a lot of fun. I like this side of the field, and I'm getting a lot of experience. I'm learning a lot, and the great benefits too. They pay for your grad school tuition, and it's a great opportunity that I encourage a lot of people in the sports field to take on.
Entering college, what made you choose pro-com as a major?
So it was kind of funny. I actually started out as an uncommitted music major. I had played violin in high school. I was part of the orchestra. I had a lot of fun, made some great friends over the years. And I wanted to try it out in college just to kind of see, I wasn't sure if Minot State had what I was looking for at first, but that was until I met my then advisor at the time, Heather Martin. She had shown me this Intro to Broadcasting course, and I'm like, well, what's one less gen ed class going to hurt me for? So that turned out to be my best class. I met Neil in the process. I got to know all the facilities, the studios, and that spring semester of freshman year, I just went to work, and the rest is history.
After college, what's your goal with pro-com? Where do you see yourself after college with the pro-com degree?
Definitely working in the sports field. I know it's kind of a cliche, but I think I can do a lot of things. I pride myself as the Swiss Army knife here in MSU athletics, and we have a lot of guys, a lot of people that work hard behind the scenes. They're doing a lot of different things as well, and I like working as far as sports goes, play-by-play. That's a lot of fun, but just anything. I'm down to help anyone that's in need for anywhere around the department or whatnot. What have you?
What's your favorite moment being a pro-com major at Minot State?
Oh man, there are a lot of great moments. The Saturday showdowns, all the inside the dams. I used to do this. I used to be where you guys are sitting right now. So all the play-by-play class was a lot of fun too. The KMSU auction. It's hard to pinpoint one, but there's so many great memories with KMSU that I adore. So.
Thank you. Well, everyone, the Swiss Army knife himself, Cole Clementich, thank you for being on the show today. Up next, we have Clay with some exciting Minnesota sports news.
I hope it is exciting. You like any Minnesota sports teams, AJ, or no?
I can say like the Timberwolves.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards is that guy, so it's pretty entertaining to watch him. But we're going to start off right at the gridiron with this, so we're going to take it to the turf. Minnesota Vikings improved to 6-2 after beating the Indianapolis Colts 21-13, putting an end to Minnesota's two-game losing streak. Despite a scoreless and turnover-riddled first half, Sam Darnold and the Vikings offense turned it around. Coming out of the locker room at halftime, Darnold threw 3 touchdown passes, all coming in the second half. With the offense struggling in the first half, the Vikings defense played lights out without allowing a single touchdown all night and made it tough for veteran quarterback Joe Flacco of the Indianapolis Colts, forcing him to turn the ball over twice. The Vikings head to Jacksonville this weekend, where they are set to take on the 2-7 Jaguars. Kickoff is at noon. Slipping onto the ice, the Minnesota Wild picked up their 8th win last night in overtime versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. Both teams scored 1 goal each in the first period. The Maple Leafs center, William Nylander, drew first blood, but was quickly matched by Minnesota's wing Ryan Hartman. The two teams remained deadlocked at 1 through the rest of regulation and into overtime until Minnesota's Matt boldly broke the tie at the 2:14 mark of overtime. The Wild currently sit at second in the Central Division with an overall record of 8-1-2. The Wild will face the LA Kings tomorrow night in Minneapolis. Puck drop is at 7. Hitting the hardwood, the Minnesota Timberwolves will play host to the Charlotte Hornets as the T-Wolves seek their 4th win in this very young season. The Timberwolves lost their previous outing 113-103 at the hands of the San Antonio Spurs on Saturday, as the Wolves were short on rest coming off a win on Friday. Anthony Edwards looks to lead the Timberwolves to a victory over the Hornets and their team back over the 500 mark. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. AJ, you and I just got done talking about the Anthony Edwards and Timberwolves. What do you think? What do you like most about Anthony Edwards watching him play?
His play style. He just plays with he wants to be the best on the court. Like, even though you have like goats like LeBron, Kobe, but Anthony Edwards, he could be the next man up.
I agree.
All right, thank you, Clayton. Still coming up next, we're going to talk with Howard Wade in an interview here at the table. And don't forget, Dalton Davis has a 1-minute segment of his choosing too, so you never know what could come of that. Coming up next on Inside the Dam, brought to you by Papa John's after these commercial breaks. Welcome back to Inside the Dam here on KMSU. And I'm Owen Patterson, joined now by Howard Wade, the voice of the Beavers. Howard, which games have you been calling recently for Minot State?
This is a long weekend, man. Had the chance to get soccer and great games. Got the wins, both games. And so that was this past weekend. It's been football as well. That was a really good game. Didn't get the win, but I said it on the broadcast. I don't think anyone anticipated a 70. I think it ended up being an 80-point total.
Yeah.
So, again, if you tune into a lot of Beaver football, you know that's not typically our numbers, but great game.
Yeah, and then coming up now, we're getting basketball season started, hockey season started. I know you really like this time of year.
It's getting colder, but no worries there as basketball gets rolling. The girls, I want to say they went 1-2 this past weekend in Montana, and the guys are still waiting to get their season going. I think they have a trip in Puerto Rico, so that's going to be pretty amazing to see how they handle overseas. And this upcoming year, you know, they were nationally ranked last year for the first time, and so, yeah, basketball can't wait. Hockey, the boys are really excited. They're hoping for something great. The girls continuing to find that rhythm, have some new faces, but they too, you know, went all the way last year and just, you know, right there over the hump. Can't wait to climb over.
Yeah, so talking here specifically about the play-by-play work you've done for the Beavers. A lot of people don't feel comfortable on the mic, but I know you do. So where does that come from? You know, is this something you've always wanted to do, and how have you become so accustomed to being on the voice or at the call for the Beavers?
I want to say just over years and years of practice, working that interpersonal communication with myself and my surroundings since high school, you know, having the opportunity to be in debate club, certain things that you kind of take for granted at the time. And now, as you mentioned, years and years and years on practice, more reps, more time on the call, different sports, and I still want to expand my knowledge in my sports, get into hockey, wrestling, and I've had someone even consider me doing curling. I've never tuned into curling besides maybe once in the Olympics, and I quickly turned it off. But yeah, I mean, it does take some time, and I'm always still learning. Most previous game, I had a chance to speak with some of the Fox broadcasters at the Minnesota-Denver game a couple years ago, the playoffs. I saw them in the booth, approached them, and I was just picking their brains a little bit. And even those guys, always learning. It's every time you go, listening back to your tapes and just being confident in what you're doing.
Yeah, so looking up to those professional guys, who are some of your favorites that you find on the TV or the radio?
I like Mike Breen. I like Mike Breen a lot. Mark Jackson as well. In his prime, I feel like Mark Jackson towards the latter years started to get a bit more favoritism towards his Golden State Warriors, but like Mike Breen. Don't like Chris Collinsworth. I know that's super random, but I have to say it here. Chris Collinsworth, not a fan at all. I had a chance to tune into him last night on what felt like a Thursday night game last night with all the turnovers. Not really sure why. I'm sure the Minnesota Vikings fans are going to give me a hard time about that, but last night did not feel like a regular Sunday night game. But Mike Breen and Mark Jackson, top of my list.
Yeah. So you talked there a little bit about understanding the sports, getting to know them. What are some sports that you've played in the past, taken part of, that you know quite a bit about?
Basketball, track and field were my major sports growing up. Volleyball when I was really young. And the crazy part about volleyball is that back home, they only throw you to play volleyball because you play basketball. So they saw you just jumping and they said, just play volleyball. But volleyball is fun on the island, played in the sand. So even volleyball, I didn't really see myself calling volleyball, but it's actually the first sport that I got the chance to be on the mic for, and I love it. It's fun. So yeah, those three right there, I'd say so: basketball, track, and volleyball.
Yeah, so is this play-by-play thing something you want to take further down the road, and what are your goals with it?
Yeah, absolutely. If I can take it down the road for the rest of my life, as long as my voice allows, I really hope that's the dream. I do want to get involved with coaching, as I love seeing growth and progression with athletes, especially at middle school age. Wouldn't mind the collegiate and professional levels, but I feel as though it gets so much more in the business side as the tiers go higher and higher. So if I can, during my night hours, spend a lot of time on the mic, and then daytime hours in the grind, in the gyms, and on the court, the field, wherever, that's a goal of mine, man.
I know you just got off a busy week, like you mentioned. When's the next time, and where can we hear you?
I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to look at my calendar just yet, but off the top of my head, I know we have a final soccer game on a Thursday. That's very keen for me. So final soccer game this Thursday, and then maybe basketball in about 2 weeks, I want to say so. So I know everyone can't wait for the hardwood sport for basketball, but still not there yet. And football should have one more home game, I want to say, not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Yeah, stay tuned on the NSIC network for those broadcasts. It's time we hear from Dalton Davis here in his 1-minute segment.
Yeah, Owen, thanks for kicking it over here. Guys, last week we got the absolute privilege of hearing from Grant talking a little Talk to Us segment. Well, this week I wanted to talk a little bit about the QB developmental problem in the NFL. This was just kind of something that's been on my mind, as this year we've seen the development of quarterbacks as far as quarterbacks getting benched, and then quarterbacks who got benched earlier in their careers and are now finding a resurgence at other teams. The last couple of years, we've had the absolute privilege of seeing, quarterbacks like C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow find success right away in the NFL. And that's just kind of the standard that fans and coaches and owners want to see out of their quarterback, out of their franchise guy. And that's just not the case. You need to be able to have a quarterback that is developed. And there's guys like Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa. Those guys struggled in their first couple of years in the NFL. They took a couple of years to develop before becoming one of the top guys in the league. Patrick Mahomes and Jordan Love, when you think about those guys, they had to sit behind guys to start off their careers. Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith, and Jordan Love sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for his first couple of years. Those guys are top guys in the NFL now, and it took them a couple of years before they became the quarterbacks that they are now. And so I believe that there's just an impatience that owners and fans are seeing throughout the quarterbacks. I mean, we've seen guys that are on different teams now this year, Sam Darnold specifically, who was mentioned earlier in the broadcast, and Geno Smith, as well as Baker Mayfield. These guys that are on different teams now got drafted, got benched early in their careers, now have been transferred to a different team and are finding success there. I mean, those are a lot of credit to the coaching staff at each of those teams. But, Baker and Geno, they just got their big contracts. Sam Darnold, this was kind of an up in the air kind of year for him. But now that J.J. McCarthy got hurt, after this year, he's going to be the QB free agent to sign for most NFL teams. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes next year, if he stays with the Vikings or if they want to develop J.J. McCarthy. We don't know what's going to happen there. But there's quarterbacks now, young guys, that we have seen get benched this year as well. Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young, they're in the same situation that the quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and Geno Smith were early in their careers, and now they're getting benched. But I truly believe they're not finding enough time. Now, have they been good? No. They've been absolutely terrible. But the NFL owners have to deal with them being terrible for the first couple of years if they want to find success in the future. I don't think that Andy Dalton and Joe Flacco, those are the replacements they're putting out there. Those are old guys. Yeah, they might get you a couple of wins this season. Are they going to get you into the playoffs? Maybe, but they're not going to win you a Super Bowl in the next couple of years. So I truly believe that the quarterback or the coaches need to keep these young players in, need to let them develop. And it's kind of a problem that we've seen the last couple of years in the NFL, wanting to see rookies just go in there and play great football right away. Owen, AJ, I don't know about you guys, but this is just kind of a problem that I've seen in the NFL. I don't know what your guys' opinion is as far as the quarterback situation going on as far as developing quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Oh, obviously quarterbacks are important, but I know you like talking about defense a little bit. Sounds like this segment's turning into Monday Morning QB.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope the Eagles find a better game plan of stop losing having these tough, close games with our opponents this season.
All right, well, just about does it for Inside the Dam here on KMSU. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Papa John's. They offer a 40% discount if you show your student ID at their Papa John's location right here in Minot. You can also call to order at Papa John's Restaurant in Minot, North Dakota. Well, AJ, we talked a lot about Minot State athletics. We know it's been busy. They call this the sports equinox, when all the sports start to overlap one another. It's got to be a fun time to just be a Beaver sports fan.
Of course, always. I'm really excited for winter sports, especially basketball. I can't wait to see what they have this week, their away game at Duluth, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Howard, he set up the season. A lot of hype around this Beavers team after what they accomplished last year. Playing a tournament out in Puerto Rico. They get to escape the early snow here in November.
That's going to be a real different type of environment for them for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And then our high school and regional sports segments obviously talked a little bit about the NBA there, the NHL getting started, and playoff football here in North Dakota. It is pretty fun to follow, but like Gage mentioned there in part, it gets pretty cold when the lights turn on and the sun goes down around here.
Oh, yes. I dealt with that my 2 years here in JUCO. That winter in Minnesota isn't pretty at all.
Yeah, but those North Dakota playoff teams are fighting for a spot inside the Fargo Dome next Friday in the state championship games. Any last words about our show today? What you like?
I liked everything special. Dalton's special segment, he killed everything over there, man. Shout out to you, Dalton.
All right. For our great talent you saw on camera today and those behind the scenes, for AJ Conte, I'm Owen Patterson. Thank you for watching us today on Inside the Dam on KMSU.